Okay, so my lighting is officially horrible. That's a little better. Still got the overhead light. Not my favorite, but okay. Hi, we are live, and we have 4 people watching, which is pretty typical in our fan group, but I'm glad to see that there are some people here. That is nice, and we'll be taking your guys' questions tonight. Tonight is your night. Tonight is your show. If you guys have any questions or anything you guys want me to talk about or want to talk about with me, that would be great. As always, our website is BibleVersionConspiracy.com, which is down here on the screen. And I've got some things that I've been looking into that they have really been challenging me recently in what I thought as a King James only person. Obviously, I am still a diehard King James onlyist. I would not say that the modern versions are correct in their renderings and the King James Bible is incorrect, but I will say that recently I have been finding that there are good reasons why modern versions have done what they've done, but as we've said before a bazillion times, as in the New Order of Barbarians, which I think I have that book right here. New Order of Barbarians. There's going to be subtle changes that are introduced into the Bible. For example, a word that is considered to be a key Christian word is going to be changed just slightly in an upcoming edition of the Bible, and it'll be synonymous with what it has always been. For instance, Lucifer. The word Lucifer is a huge point of contention between King James Bible believers and modern version advocates. The thing is that what I have found in my study, and what a lot of King James Bible believers or authors would disagree with me, is that Daystar and Lucifer are synonymous terms. There's a lot that I'm putting together to give people a research base to look at, to be able to get their own conclusions based on the evidence that is available. But there is so much that has pointed me toward the idea, even scripturally. I just found yesterday there are scriptural reasons to believe that Daystar and Lucifer are synonymous. So we'll save that for a little bit. If you guys want to really know, let me know. Then we'll talk about it. But maybe I'll get into it. We'll see. So maybe Lucifer gets changed to Daystar. Okay. It's a synonymous term. It still means, Lucifer is the old Latin word for the planet Venus, because it denotes the shining one or the star of the morning or what have you. So you have that connection. Well, in an upcoming edition of the Bible, say, this is an example, exposed in the New Order of Barbarians, I highly recommend that you either get a copy or listen to it. We have the entire audio on our YouTube channel, a playlist called New Order of Barbarians. Check it out. It's 4 hours long, and it'll blow your mind. So say a new version has Daystar, and then the newest version that comes out, I don't know what it would be. I don't know what it would say. Would it say Venus? Would it have Christ say in the New Testament, I am Venus? I don't know. But the thing about these changes is that it changes from, you have the typical Christian keyword, a synonym of the typical Christian keyword, and then a synonym of that synonym that does not mean what the original Christian keyword used to mean. This is not something that I got from Gail, although Gail does talk about it in her book, New Age Bible Versions. And I mentioned it to her, and she's just like, oh, wow, I really need to check that out. So she'll be checking it out. So that's just a small example of what is coming down the pike as we're researching these different things. I told you this is going to be a little bit of a research update as well as just a stream celebrating. Looky loo, celebrating. We have 800. It's official. 800 subscribers. I've wanted to do this for such a long time. There's a little button. It should be in this corner of the screen that says subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please do. But what I wanted to do with that little subscribe, and let me know if you think this would be a good idea. I would like to have like maybe a cartoon or something that, and I can do this, or a Photoshop thing where I have a scribe from, say, like the Middle Ages or something, some old illustration, and this scribe is eating a sub, a submarine sandwich. So that would be my subscribe. I think that's hilarious. Oh, and I came up with another one earlier. Yeah, just get ready for the worst dad joke you ever heard. Okay. Did you know that only adult bees fly over the bay? Or wait, no. No adult bees fly over the bay. None at all, because they're all babies. Oh, that's a groaner. I can't even do the ba-doom-ts. That was just so bad. But let me know what you think of that. All right. So we're going to take a look at comments real quick. Spray Arm, good to be back. Yes, he has been out gallivanting in the wilds of Western America and has been having a great time on his bike and sent me some pictures. It's beautiful scenery out there. I wish I could have gone. There's me, ready to start. YouTube says it's broke. That's not good. Come back, Spray Arm. Okay, he got it. Very good. Stephen Hayes, haven't been here in a while. Thank you for joining us. And I'm glad to see you around. I don't see you around very often. It's good to see you. And Marlene Harrison, my mother-in-law. Hello. The illustrious, elusive. This guy is on par with. He is a treasure hunter. He found the golden potato of Ulcer the other day. He's just like Indiana Jones, except he is Daniel Jones. He is his own Jones. And I'll tell you, he is truly hard to keep up with. See what I did there? All right. First time in June, I think. Yeah, it probably has been. We got our first question. Oh no. Spray Arm says he's going to have to disconnect the channel with such a dad joke. Oh, I'm so sorry. I've got 4 kids. I get to tell dad jokes now. All right. Let's get into the stuff. Question. Have you read Brian Ross's new book, The Myth of Verbatim Identicality? I have not. You know what I want? I want him to make an audiobook. That'd be awesome. I love audiobooks. I did get the book, though. This is Giggles, the Giganotosaurus. Say hi, Giggles. Hello. I've got 2 of Brian Ross's books. I want to get them all, honestly. He's very, very thorough. I will say, however, Gail Riplinger does not like him. It's official. She does not like him. You can go to their website, go to their menu and click on freebies. And there's a PDF on there where she talks about Brian Dross. And that's what Brian Ross refers to as a hit piece, which has been written in response to what he has said and his research. So if you guys want to check that out, there's a PDF there as well. Not saying that I agree with Gail on everything that she has said in that piece. I have not read it personally, just saying that it is out there. And I mention it because Brian has much more of a presence on social media, a digital. So you have read it, Stephen. So he has much more of an online presence than Gail. Gail has, as far as I am aware, she has zero social media presence. I have a presence with the Bible Version Conspiracy. Brian Ross has a presence with his Grace Life Fellowship, I want to say it is, his church out in Michigan. His church has a YouTube channel that he has his videos out through. And I mentioned Gail's PDF because that allows you to go and read both sides of a controversy, which I think is very valuable, because then you can look at it, you can weigh the things, you can decide for yourself, which is extremely important. And what I would not want you to do ever is say, oh, this person is really smart. I like what this person says a lot, therefore they are correct. And then stop your investigation there. If you want to get to the bottom of something, if you don't want to say for the rest of your life, well, that people disagree and I don't know. If you don't want to say that the rest of your life, like I don't want to say that the rest of my life, go and read both sides. Always keep an open mind next to your open Bible so you don't lose either of them. Alrighty, let's see. Daniel Jones, it's good to be here. All right, so Stephen, about the myth of verbatim identicality. I have not read it, but I do have a small opinion on it. So I've heard a little bit of his presentation on YouTube regarding this. Basically what this means, the verbatim identicality, means that if you have inspiration, if you have preservation, you will have absolute word for word, like it shows in the illustration here that is AI generated, obviously, so obviously when you look at the books on the floor and the actual scanner that the scribe is supposed to be working with, it's obviously AI generated, but it's not bad. Or the books on the bookshelf. So anyways, with the scribe who is literally Xeroxing, I call it Xeroxing, you might call it photocopying manuscripts from, electronically. That would yield, unless you're a Mandela effect person, which we will get into that just briefly, because I want to tell you guys about the last couple of streams that we've done in case you're just like, oh man, I don't want to watch a 3-hour-long podcast by Joseph again. Because maybe you had an experience where you fell asleep during one of them and was just like, nah, I'm not doing this again. But I'm looking forward to making some shorter content for you guys. I'm greatly looking forward to it. So the verbatim identicality means that, like, if you have a King James Bible, like he shows in different instances, like in his first presentation that I watched on this, he shows where, the word with or something, I forget what it was, but in most editions of the Bible, of the King James Bible, it has like with or would or something like this. And in this one, it doesn't. Or, there's, the Cambridge versus Oxford or what have you that are slightly different in their wording. Does that mean that one of them is inspired and one of them is not? I don't know. I will say I don't know, because I don't. I'm not God, all right? But I do have an opinion. From how he presented it, and from what I know of the history of the text of the King James Bible, it looks like, to me, that the King James Bible is not the exclusive work of God, and that there is human labor involved. And I'm pretty sure everybody would acknowledge that, because there's printing errors, there's all sorts of things. But it doesn't always have to be printing errors either. There's a lot that goes into this. I am not an expert on the text of the King James Bible throughout 400 years of its history by any means. But it would seem to me that if somebody holds, like, say, Gail Riplinger, which is one reason why she doesn't like Brian Ross. Brian Ross does believe in the inspiration of the King James Bible. If I remember correctly, I asked him specifically if he believes that the King James Bible is a product of, the inspiration that God gave to the King James translators to pick the correct wording in every place. And he's just like, yeah. And he believes in its infallibility and everything else like this. Gail wrote a PDF called The Settings of the King James Bible, where she went through all the different times that the typesetting of the King James Bible actually happened. And she does a pretty good job breaking it down. And she arrives at the conclusion that the pure Cambridge edition of the King James Bible is pretty good, pretty much there. But then the one that she seems to recommend the most highly this is from my memory, from greater than 10 years ago. So correct me if I'm wrong. The PDF is, I believe, on her website. If not, I've got the PDF if you want it. The Settings of the King James Bible, it more highly recommends, I believe it was a large print edition of the Cambridge Bible from some year. I forget which year it was. So with Brian Ross, he's just like, I think the King James Bible, if you have a King James Bible that has a typo, or you have a King James Bible that is not the pure Cambridge, which has been sanctified by the Holy Spirit, if you have a King James Bible, how are you saying that it's not inspired when it's doing the same thing as every other King James Bible out there? It doesn't make a lot of sense to say that, like, for instance, thoroughly or throughly. You've heard this controversy, I'm sure, if you followed Gail for any amount of time. They don't like when a King James Bible says thoroughly instead of throughly. Problem is, if I'm not mistaken, Brian Ross has proved in his what's the book called? It's about the different printings of the King James Bible in America. I think it's supposed to be a textual history of the King James Bible in America, maybe what it's called. In all of the early Bibles that were printed in America, apparently they just used the American spelling, thoroughly. And he's just like, so you're telling me they didn't have a Bible? I think that is possibly a gap in Gail's research. I don't know. It seems like a gap in Gail's research, where she's like, oh, thoroughly, how dare you do that? You can't change the King James Bible to say thoroughly. That's what modern versions say, or something like this. And it's like, okay, well, what about the rest of it, where you have just everything in America saying thoroughly instead of throughly? Honestly, I don't see thoroughly versus throughly in the New Order of Barbarians scenario. I don't see thoroughly versus throughly setting us up to worship the Antichrist. Honestly, right now, I don't. I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I've learned a lot over the years, and maybe a few years from now, I'll learn something where I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. She was right. I don't know. But I will say that we shouldn't make mountains out of molehills prematurely, and then when somebody comes along and contradicts our opinion, we crucify them. Okay? With their book, chained to their chest, like a Catholic, pretty much. And basically blacklist them in the mind of all of our fans and just warn them about the dangerous heresy that they're bringing in. And it's like, are they actually? There's a lot to consider. But anyways. So thank you, Stephen. And that's basically my thoughts on it right now. I have not read it yet. Oh my goodness. I would love it if it was an audiobook. I would love if every book that I want to read ever was an audiobook, and I could just have them all for free, and I could just listen to them all endlessly throughout the day. That'd be fantastic. Because I like audiobooks. I recently went through Ken Johnson's book on the ancient language of dreams. That was fascinating, and obviously something that is germane to my channel. He's had some interesting dreams throughout his life, let me tell you. He also talked about the dream that that Nimrod had before Esau killed him, and the dream, all the different dreams in the Bible, obviously before that, and also the dream that led the Persian king to send the wise men as a delegation to meet the newborn creator of the universe in Bethlehem. That's a fascinating story. We talked about it last Christmas. I look forward to talking about it this Christmas. It is the most fascinating story. The most fascinating Christmas story I've ever heard. You can read about it in the ancient language of dreams by Ken Johnson, and also ancient pre-flood astrology. Or no, the pre-flood origins of astrology. Excuse me. His research is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So I highly recommend basically anything Ken Johnson's ever written at this point. Let's see. Stephen Hayes says Gail Riplinger despises Ross. I have read her PDF, which is one thing that I'm glad about, that it's a PDF, because if I can get these books on PDF, I can make my own audiobook. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I'll have to ask Brian if I can get a PDF of it or not. I was able to get a PDF of another book recently. Thank you. You know who you are. And that was fantastic. So, oh, and also, if you guys have a question that you specifically want to ask me, because I know there's some back and forth that happens in the comments, if you're tuning into us right now, I haven't said it yet, but if you can please put 4 question marks before and after your comment, just so I can see that there's something for me, that would be very helpful. But I see your question, Blue Sky. I'll get to you in a second. So, one thing that I was happy about earlier this year is I wanted to get through all of the material that D.A. Waite's wife wrote about their situation with Gail, and how they felt that she lied to them. And they were like, they asked her point blank, they're like, have you ever been married before? Have you ever been divorced? All this other stuff. And that she's just like, nope, 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 nope. They worded it like several different ways, and they were very frustrated to find out that she had been married before, and they called her out on it. And her response was, oh, well, that was just a marriage on paper. What other kind of marriages are there? I don't know. But listening through that entire PDF, it was advantageous to me to be in PDF, because I could just use Speechify, which hopefully one day I will be able to afford an account through Speechify, and provide a link for you guys so you guys can actually support us by subscribing to Speechify. It's amazing, and I highly recommend it. If you have a lot of PDFs you want to listen to, Spray Arm, I know you have lots and lots of PDFs that you're never going to read. Speechify would be perfect for you, because you just load it in and it just reads the text, and it's just so helpful. I might you guys might want to stick around, maybe not. I don't know if I'm going to get into it real deep. We're going to move on, but there's another reason why I use Speechify recently. Just going to let that simmer. Yeah. Speechify. Yep, that's right. That's just how you spell it. All right. Let's see. The issue. All right. The issue Brian is trying to deal with is the reality that different KJV editions are not identical. And that is true. And that's the problem that I see being set up by people such as Gail and Brandon Peterson. Believe it or not, I'm a fan of Brandon Peterson. We are friends, loose friends. It's not like we talk every night, but once in a while I'll be like, hey, and and he'll come back, and we'll just we'll go back and forth or whatever. Mostly, recommendations that he has for me artistically, because he is a fantastic digital artist. Fantastic. But the thing is that, and I talked about this earlier in our stream called, basically, are we getting two King James only? Are we the new Rosicrucians? And I think I had a Rosicrucian actually comment on there saying, you don't understand Rosicrucianism. And it's like, well, I do, but it's not, it's different. Anyways. Hey, that's 3 question marks. Hey, Hannah, I said 4. No, I'm just kidding. I'll get to you in a sec. So, let's see, Spirit. Okay, we'll get to that in a second as well. Yes, and they're not identical. When you have Gail making the settings of the King James Bible, where she recommends, I think Hannah, I guess your name is Hannah, I assume, unless your last name is Hannah. I don't know. So, thank you for adding 2 more question marks. That's awesome. All right. The problem with Gail bringing out the settings of the King James Bible, where she's like, okay, these ones aren't quite there, but then you have the one that I think is the most textually pure, which would be, if I remember correctly, the large print, Cambridge. When it comes down to that, it's just like, okay, is it time to call everyone that doesn't have a Cambridge large print a heretic? Is it time to do that? Is it time to hang our souls upon our ownership of it? Is it time for us to go, oh, I have all these editions of the King James Bible, but here is the one that Gail says is the perfect one. Oh, let's put this one up on the shelf. This one is the supernatural one. All the rest bow down to it. Is it time for us to do that? I'm pretty sure that she's clear in her book, or not in her book, in her PDF, that she's not trying to do that. Problem is that it goes a step further. And Brandon Peterson recently showed one of the greatest discoveries. He's actually the greatest discovery he thinks that has ever happened in all of history. And I would say it's pretty interesting for sure. But we're I think a little bit too anxious to prove the absolute perfection and infallibility of the King James Bible when we go counting all of the words, all of the letters, all of the numbers, all of the words in the foreword and the index on the cover, page numbers, even if I'm not mistaken, all of it, and then go dividing it by 7 and find that it's divisible by 7. It's like 7 to the 7th power. And just being like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. This is it. Because when that happens, it's just like, okay, now get up on the shelf. All right, throw out all the other King James Bibles, which I think is rash. And I also think, I don't just think this, I've got this, okay? In this book right here, Ancient Church Fathers, I got to look up the context of it and everything because it's very instructive to us. They mention one of the Ancient Church Fathers This is before the Catholic Church and everything. I forget which one it was. One of the disciples of the apostles, if I'm not mistaken. He says that devils use numbers and letters and stuff like this, like to deceive people. So let's just say the scenario that a devil is like, how am I going to confound these good Bible-believing Christians? And one of the ways that they claim to do it is they're like, okay, I'm going to go down and I'm going to make this edition of the King James Bible, which I believe actually was the Pure Cambridge, not the one that Gale recommends, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to make it so it's divisible by 7. And I'm going to have somebody discover this, and I'm going to have them claim that this proves the inspiration and infallibility of this edition of the King James Bible and none other. I would say that the implications of that are enormous. Absolutely enormous and kind of scary. Let your imagination run wild with it for a bit and then laugh at yourself and be like, it's just a conspiracy theory. But keep it in mind, because I think it may actually play in to some sort of scenario. Anyways, just thinking out loud. Just thinking out loud. Okay. We'll go with Stephen Hayes and we'll go back to Blue Sky. Spirit and Ghost, and I can only go until 9:30 my time, which is another 45 minutes. So that's going to be my cap for tonight. Spirit and Ghost are both both translations of the Greek pneuma. True. And they would mean the same thing, and they would be pretty much synonymous. And ghost is just from the Germanic word for ghost or spirit, which is Geist, like a poltergeist or whatever. A gust of wind, I believe, is also related to it phonetically and, part of the same family of words or what have you. They wear the same jeans, Levi Strauss. So, spirit and ghost, yeah, they're synonymous. By conviction, the KJV translators used ghost. By convention, the KJV translators used ghost when it referred to an actual personality rather than a spiritual essence. I would have to check all the references myself, but I would say that that's a reasonable assertion. Interesting. Very interesting. And I think that might have been in response to Blue Sky, where he says, do you know why the modern versions get rid of referring to as the Holy Ghost and instead use Holy Spirit? I don't know if that would be related to this scenario that I mention all the time, where keywords will be changed to shift Christianity and Catholicism, break it apart, and turn it into the New World religion, which will encompass all religions. I don't know if there's anything specifically Christian about the word Holy Ghost versus Holy Spirit. I'm pretty sure the King James Bible uses both. So, and I would imagine that there's probably some reason why the King James translators did it one way and not another in different cases. Any insights into what God may be communicating to us by using Holy Ghost? I am unsure. I think that Stephen Hayes's insight on that, let me put that back on the screen for you. I'd say that that is about as good of explanation as I have probably heard. It's not a bad explanation. I kind of like it. It's my new favorite explanation for why that happens. It's official. I think, man, hang on a second. Where did that guy go? I had him down just the other day because I was scanning pages on what he said about Lucifer for the new Lucifer page that I'm making. Man, and I'm not seeing it. Anyways, if you have Jarda's Bow, I don't think you can even get the book anymore. Jardis Bow, or Gerardus Bow, Bouw, I believe is how you spell his last name. He wrote a book called The Book of Bible Problems, and I'm pretty sure he addresses the word ghost and spirit in there. Stephen, that may even be where you got your explanation from, was possibly from him. I don't remember what he says on that issue. Someday, eventually, in the future, this will be my full-time thing. I'll have all this memorized, and I'll forget everything else I've ever learned. I won't even know how to drive a car anymore. I won't know how to feed myself. I'll like pick up a spoon, and I'll go like, hey, and I will have all of this and all of that and all of these things committed to memory 100% fully, completely, and I'll just lose all of my other faculties and ability to function as an adult. And it'll be for the love of the game, because I love this. This is awesome. But anyways, and by the way, you can help us go full-time, or you can help us buy a laptop that is a little more viable than this poor 8 GB one that was refurbished and probably is from 2013. You can help us do all that. In a link in the description, our Buy Me a Coffee link, you can become a member and gain access to member exclusive content, which is exclusively for members, and just so you know, that's what that means. So I'm also thinking about reworking our streaming schedule. What I'm thinking about doing is, because I want to do more short form content, because there's been several people that have asked me for that kind of stuff. Mostly what I do is longer deep dive streams where we just, go down deep, stay down long, come up dry. And I would like to do more short form content for you guys, so it can start to bring us into the phase where we're actually making our own assertions. Right now, with these streams, we're in the research phase. So what I would kind of like to do is I would like to have regular streams where I actually go on with the members and talk about what I'm learning, talk about the research, talk about the crazy nonsense that is happening behind the scenes. And there's a lot of crazy nonsense. I'm not talking about family life. I'm talking about controversy over different things that I'm finding, and just like, oh my goodness. Talk about all those kind of things that aren't necessarily great for just putting up on YouTube for everybody to see, until it's finally ready, obviously. I would kind of like to make our weekly streams where we just lay everything out, especially now since my job is very demanding and we're contemplating a move, and there's just going to be so much going on that all I can really do is just share updates on research. And it's not necessarily going to be the best for just putting up on YouTube all of the time. And I can bounce it off of people that are invested in this topic like I am. And, I think that might be a good game plan for us, where we put forth shorter form content publicly on a regular basis, do a live stream, not necessarily a live stream publicly, but publish a stream and also go live like monthly, like we do now, and have the research phase be more underground, so to speak. I'm not trying to run from public scrutiny. Honestly, I'm not. You guys know me. I don't care. If I find something that I think is true, I want to hear a good argument against it. I honestly do, because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to teach something that's not true. So, let's get straight on whatever you want us to get straight on. And if you can produce a good counter argument that is convincing, that holds up to, what I have found that has led me to my erring conclusion, then okay. I love it. Let's correct Joseph, because I'm not infallible. And I don't want to set up that kind of atmosphere either. I don't want people to feel like I am telling them what to think, ever. Because I want you guys to look at things for yourself. That's why I try to provide links to everything that I have on our website. which, by the way, is BibleVersionConspiracy.com, which is not over, which is right there. Okay. Links in the description, obviously. So, moving on. And like I said, if you want to become a member, hit up that buymeacoffee.com/Joseph Armstrong link, $7 a month. Go deep, go deeper behind the veil with us. And it gets crazy. It gets crazy. Spray Arm, yes, I was talking about you. He needs Speechify. I'm sorry, Jennifer. No long stream tonight. I'm going to be going long. This is already considered extremely long content. I've been going for 45 minutes. And I plan to go for about another half an hour. Oh, let's see. Thank you, Jennifer, for the comment. That will be good. You need to take care of yourself. And yes, I do. I do need to take care of myself. And this is something for you guys too. Any of you that are involved in content creation, can't even speak tonight, or full-time employed or anything else like this. No, and this is the thing that people don't understand. People that have a 9-to-5 like I do, we have somebody that tells us to go on lunch. We have somebody that tells us to take a 10-minute break in the morning, a 10-minute break in the evening, somebody that tells us to get the heck out of there because they don't want to pay us overtime. All that stuff. When you are a self-employed, or when you do content creation like I'm doing, or when you have any kind of hobby like this that is actually something you're dedicated to, Gail knows the same thing from her time doing her research and writing her books and everything. Brian, same. There is nobody to tell you to take that break. There is nobody there to tell you to take care of yourself. There's nobody that says that you have so many sick days built up. There's nobody that says that you have so much vacation time built up. There's nobody there to tell you those things. It's on you to take care of yourself, to find that central park in the middle of the chaos of the concrete jungle. It's your responsibility to step back once in a while, clear your head, get a fresh perspective. Something that I struggle with, and something that I'm sure a lot of you guys struggle with as well. And by the way, highly recommend this book right here. It's called Start by John Acuff. Acuff. Highly recommend that. That is one of the books that actually got me doing this channel 3 years ago in January. One of the things that actually got us doing this. Thank you to John. And Think Media. Thank you, Sean Cannell. Both of them came together to make this. They came together in my mind to make this actually happen. So thank you guys for the inspiration, the motivation, and the idea. So, and by the way, yesterday, 3 years ago, I published the Originals Only Scheme, which is a chapter, I think chapter 3 of Joey Faust's book, The Word God Will Keep It. It's brown. It's somewhere. I've got 4 kids. My bookshelf has got organized 3 years ago, and it hasn't been organized since. Okay, now here we go. Here is a comment that is going to get me in a lot of trouble. And it also does not have 4 question marks. Tisk, tisk. There. It's been fixed. I just love that. Thank you, Hannah. I just love that. That's hilarious. Anyways. Do you... and by the way, I would love to know how many of you guys actually saw my videos from way back where I was standing in... It was the guest bedroom / office of the house I grew up in. Back room. and I would throw a green plaid blanket over a mirror on the backside of a door, and I would just stand in front of that because I didn't want to have the reflection and everything. And oftentimes there would be like clothes hanging on a strip next to the thing, and I'd be reading forever, different things. Like I went through all the way through Blind Guides, and like Spray Arm said, with goats in totes in the kitchen, and all of that stuff, which is now privated because I don't know how many stupid things I said back then, and I didn't want to take the garbage with all that stuff. I don't know if it was my time that I spent doing that everybody's just like, oh, this guy is, I like this guy. And then he disappears for a year or two after he gets married or gets involved with his future wife, and then eventually, just ends up doing the Bible version conspiracy. Oh, the goofy guy with the plaid towel and the endless reading things is back. That was just a lot of fun to do that stuff. It's just really weird to see somebody that's like that. It's so much fun, and it's so weird to see like somebody that's actually excited. They're like, oh my goodness, Joseph Armstrong is here in this group. Oh wow, it's just like, that is so weird. So weird. Anyways, all right, so Spray Arm, Daniel Jones, he remembers the old videos. Huh. And Jared Harrison, yes, he saw some of those. I doubt that was before I met Destiny, though. You probably watched him after it because she's your sister. And by the way, all three of those guys are co-conspirators. All three of them. Okay. The $1 million question. Do you think Gail might be crazy? Yes. I think I might be crazy too. I think we're all a little crazy in our own way. Do I think, because I know that that's not what you're asking, do I think that Gail is off her nut, off her rocker, shoot a few fries short of a Happy Meal, two fleas over the cuckoo's nest, any of the touched in the head, any of those kind of things? I don't think so. But I will say that there have been times where I have been looking up things that she's said, or looking up the context of something that she quotes, and I will look at the context and the actual thing that she was quoting, and I will look at how she did it in New Age Bible versions and what she said about it, and I will go, what was she thinking? Honestly, I have been like that. I have thought that I don't know how many times. We'll get to all that in the future. I've been teasing it out too. I don't know how many of you guys regularly watch this channel, but I've been teasing out for a while that there is a particular chapter, and Gail knows it, and her daughter Bryn, and as far as I'm aware, her husband Stephen, who is Gail's brother-in-law, Gail's son-in-law, get that straight. As far as I know, he probably knows about it through Bryn. There's a chapter in New Age Bible versions that I can't support at all. I can't support it at all. there, in my opinion, is a beginning chapter to New Age Bible versions. There's one that lays the framework. There's a chapter 1, obviously. There is a chapter which I think that it emanates from the root cause behind New Age Bible versions and Gale's research and everything like this. That would be, in my opinion, the Lucifer chapter. There, I said it. Praying to a New God, Lucifer, or however the chapter title is worded. I believe it's chapter 2. And I even made an audiobook of it. So I'm fairly familiar with it. And I'm going back through it and going through all of her other research, all of the other things she's ever written that I can find about the question of Lucifer. And I would say that from her experience and what brought her to actually investigate the Bible version translation issue stuff, I would say that Lucifer is at that her findings about the word Lucifer and such is at the beginning, is at the formation and the foundation of all that she said and wrote. And then there's all the stuff in between that supports her thesis and that gave her pause, and that shows new versions unreliable, and all this other stuff that there's been a lot of other people that have said, and there's a lot of things that she brings up that nobody else has said, which I think there's things to actually be found in them that I'm just like, oh, this is interesting. There's other things where I think she just kind of falls short. And then there's a conclusion. There's I can get you here, and this is what I see from here on. And it's going to be the same with me too. Right now, the formation of my own thoughts and opinions on this highly controversial subject is here. New Age, the New Order of Barbarians. That's one of the main reasons why I got into the channel. I learned about it just briefly before I started this channel, if I'm remembering correctly. And it motivated me to be like, it's time for King James Bible believers, in my opinion. It's time for us to start mattering. Because like Richard Day said, those who do notice a difference won't be enough to matter. And I'm just like, this whole Bible version conspiracy thing has no real online presence. There's nobody that's really pushing an expose of this agenda. There's nobody that's even criticizing, claims that King James Bible believers make that are along these lines that aren't actually helping. There's nobody challenging those views. So I'm just like, all right, time to start doing a channel. I don't know where my ideas are going to lead. I don't know where I'm going to be like, all right, I can take you this far and no further. Like, what's his face? The guy from Dante's Inferno. Why can't I remember his name? Started with a V, I believe. Not Victor. I'll remember it at some point. The guy that was his guide. We could take him to the gates of heaven and no further. There's a podcast that we're going to be sharing, not my own, but somebody else's. We'll be putting it on the Lucifer page because I think it really gives a good reason for Christians to actually listen and learn pagan mythology. Joseph, how dare you? Those are all written about the Antichrist and stuff. I'm not sure. That's one reason why I want to share the podcast by The Literary Life. If you guys are familiar with Charlotte Mason kind of stuff, there's really I think a lot going on that we are unaware of and that we've actually lost. So, what was his name? Virgil. I knew I'd remember it. Virgil. I remember listening to Dante's Inferno. The most interesting part actually was the time that he was in hell. I'm sorry. Can I be honest? It was the most interesting part was his time in hell. When he got to purgatory, it was kind of like, yeah, okay. And then when it got to heaven and, all the stuff related to it. The cat's trying to get up on me, so I'm trying to pet him over here. The heaven part, I had a hard time, concentrating and keeping track of. Maybe it's just because I was tired of listening to the book, maybe, but it also seemed less colorful. Can I say? There was, I think, a lot more work that he put into the hell part, and it just kind of, just maybe his inspiration might have dwindled as he went on. But anyways, that's Dante. Oh, let's see. Okay, so long story short, do I think Gale might be crazy? I don't think so. I don't think so. Let me see if I can find, because there was somebody that asked me a similar question not too long ago that was along these lines, that I want to go to my videos, and then I want to find the comments. I will read it to you the way I responded to him. Sorry. Oh. Comments. And then I've got to turn off the I haven't responded filter, because I did respond to him. He did not post the comment too long ago, so I should be able to find it pretty easily. Here we go. Alrighty. So the commenter, Guthrie Ham. Let me actually take you guys into the back door of StreamYard. Spray Arm says he knows he's crazy, so that is confirmed. He confessed. We have a confession. We are going to present. Oh, Jin. I remember the last time you up here, and you not doing this. Nope. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of mice and milk and cat treats. All right, he's outside. And I've got about a quarter of an hour left. And hopefully, cat hair everywhere. Floating through the air. In my mouth and in my hair. He's outside now, where he needs to be, because I need to finish this. Present. Nope. Share screen. And it's going to be comments, share. Okay. So, Guthrie Ham, which the word ham gives me pause, just saying from a conspiratorial angle. Ken Ham wants to build the Tower of Babel, apparently in Kentucky, which I don't think I approve of. Let's see. Actually, my dad's mom's maiden name, I believe, was Ham. Ham was the son of Noah that actually started necromancy. He was an interesting, scary person. I would highly recommend reading the Travels of Noah in Europe. If you are a co-conspirator, you have that in our shared folder in its original printing in the Gothic font and everything. So you guys can check that out. And I'm hoping also to order a copy of that book soon and get it available through our website where you guys can check it out. But anyhow, so Guthrie Ham says, Joseph, You seem to believe Gail has deliberate, fraudulent, inaccurate material contained in her books. Do you still recommend her books? As a skeptic, do you feel that Gail has personally led folks astray? Thanks. That is a well-worded question, and I appreciate his comment. He may have recently changed his name, because I don't think it was Guthrie Ham. I think it was possibly Whammy at some point. I might be incorrect. Maybe Guthrie will be watching this and he'll leave a comment and be like, oh yeah, I changed my name, or like, oh no, that wasn't me. I'm being spammed or something. Or not spammed, hacked. I said, thanks for the question, Whammy, because I believe that was his name. Anyhow, in her books, oh wait, here we go. I think her books still have some awesome material. That is something that most of her critics will not give her. And the conspiratorial stuff, I love that too. By the way, there's a lot of people that take a lot of the textual stuff that she says, or a lot of the translational things that she says, and then the conspiratorial stuff that she talks about with New Age infiltration and things, they don't really get into. I like that part. The stuff that I can verify, I can use. That's the positive thing about this channel. I'm going and I'm reviewing people's claims with the light of me being able to use the same arguments, because if what she says it checks out and I can confirm it, then I can use it for the channel. So I want it to be correct. I want her to be right. That is something that is unique about our channel. I'm not here to lambast Gail Riplinger. I'm not one of her huge critics or whatever. I'm not a wasp that's out to sting her. I am simply going and looking at the research that she did and going, yes or no, does this check out? I think she is right about a lot of things. I look forward to following up on some things in her books that I think will prove true. However, from all the things that I have checked, all the things that I have checked that haven't checked out, not even the controversial things that others have roasted her for, I cannot recommend her books without qualification or to the casual reader. Because I need to be allowed to say, I agree with Gail on this and that, but. And this video will be in the Friends of Gail Riplinger group. Hopefully some of them watch it. If you're part of the Friends of Gail Riplinger group, throw a like on this video. I need to have the space and the permission to disagree with Gail Riplinger about something if I don't see her research as being accurate on whatever point or other. I need to reserve that right. Last time I checked, it is not an essential thing to be a King James Bible believer that you agree with Gail Riplinger on every single point. And I am not somebody that works for her. I am not affiliated with AV Publications. I'm not going to lose my job if I disagree with her or something. I am an independent entity. The worst that she can do is write what Brian Ross has called a hit piece. She can put a PDF on her website about me or whatever she wants to do. It's her website. She can do what she wants. But I have to reserve the right to disagree with her if I find that she's incorrect on something. And you, as a reader of Gail and a watcher of this channel, need to reserve that right too. If you see that I've done something wrong or that I am fraudulent on something, you need to speak up and you need to say, Joseph, you're dumb. Look at this, this, and this. And I'd be like, oh, that's true. Or maybe sometime I'll be like, I don't like that. You're a heretic. Maybe I'll get to that point someday. I certainly hope not. That'd be awful. That mentality, that entire mentality about if you don't agree with me, you're sorry. There's a hair floating through the air. Flying rabbit. That mentality just needs to die. It just needs to die. It's been dead for a long time now. And as a New Yorker, as a Christian, as an Armstrong, I don't like being told what to think. I like thinking my own thoughts, and I like making up my own mind. The Bible is the infallible guide, obviously, and it does tell me what to think on a good deal many things. And somebody that agrees with the Bible can tell me what to think all they want to. If they don't agree with the Bible, and if they don't agree with what I find through my research and history and everything else like this, there's just a point where I'm just like, I'm sorry. Can't back you up on that one. All right, so let me zoom back in. We'll be having to finish up here in a minute. Alrighty. However, from all the things that I have checked that haven't checked out, not even the controversial things which others have roasted her for, I cannot recommend her books without qualification, so I need to be able to say, Gail's book is pretty good, but you're going to want to trust but confirm. You're going to want to take what she says on such and such issue with a grain of salt, or just ignore a part of her book that isn't factual. However, I have been informed differently very recently. And I also cannot recommend it to the casual reader. I can't recommend it for somebody to take and read and be like, oh, that's a quote. I'm sure that she's responsible and handling this the best way, and that I'm getting an accurate picture of the original and all of this stuff. Assuming that, I think, can lead into some problems. And something that I have said 100 times, to my wife at least, I don't know if I've said it 100 times or even once on this channel, I don't care if we finally broke 800 subscribers. Finally, after a long time. I will say this publicly, I do not care. Let me get me up so you guys can see the emphasis again. I don't care if I lose 700 subscribers. I don't care if I lose all of my subscribers. I am not going to say, actually, Gail was right and I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. I repent of my heresy of things, and she was right. She was right. She was right. Please don't, no. As long as I am a free man, I will reserve the right to disagree. And subscriber loss, I don't care. I'm going to tell the truth as I see it. I'm not going to back down. And if she's like, oh, well, or if somebody else, Brian Ross, if Kevin W. Christie, another guy that's in our group, Michael Holner, if any of these guys, Nick Sayers, if any of these guys are like, oh, you can't say that because that makes me look bad or something like this. It's like, well, I'm obviously not going to go after you as a person. And if I do something like that accidentally or whatever, I apologize. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said something like this. But when it comes to research pertaining to this debate, and there's something that is like, I'm sorry, this thing that you're saying is incorrect, and I can prove why, and then somebody calls my motives into question, or has Satan filled thine heart, or something like this, I'm just going to be like, sorry, what you just said, and your unsubscribe button that you just hit, it still doesn't make you right. Still doesn't make what you're saying true. Misrepresentations and conspiracy theories that don't hold water, that are involved in this debate, in my opinion, need to die. They need to be starved. they need to not exist. We need to go with accurate conspiracy theories. The conspiracy theories that are made, that Gale makes, that are ones that are like, okay, I couldn't really confirm this or unconfirm it because, it's in the realm of not really being able to be touched in this capacity. That needs to be acknowledged. But then the information that is available that contradicts the thesis also needs to be recognized, not just ignored as a blanket statement of, oh, they're quoting pagans or something like this. There's a lot to be considered. It is an extremely nuanced issue. That's why we have all these enormously long streams, because things are so nuanced. That's why I can't recommend New Age Bible versions, at least to the casual reader. I don't know about hazardous materials yet. I haven't dug deep on anything in there yet. I haven't dug deep in anything in Awe of Thy Word yet. I'm about to. New Age Bible versions, there's a couple of places that I have dug deep. I've dug very deep on several things. And I'm sorry, there are some things that don't check out. Anyways, I can't recommend it to the casual reader. I recommend them only to the careful student as a jumping off point for further research, giving Gale the benefit of the doubt, but constantly verifying her quotations and her claims. I certainly can no longer have innocent faith in her research. I'm sorry. Maybe you want me to. This is something that I have been sad to see, that there are a lot, and I haven't listened to them a lot, but one thing that I see that is happening is that there are a lot of King James Bible supporters that are like pastors and such like this that are just springing up all over the place. And I know for a fact that a lot of them are taking arguments that they hear from somebody that they trust, incorporating them into their repertoire or whatever, into their lineup, into their clip that they fire off, without scrutinizing it. And there have been a lot of people that have plagiarized Gale. There are a lot of people that have just gone with the flow, people that have just been like, oh, yep, that's awesome, without actually confirming things. And the more people that pop up that are doing those kind of things, the more concerned, personally, I get. I recommend her books as a jumping off point for further research, giving Gale the benefit of the doubt and constantly verifying her quotes and claims. I certainly can no longer have innocent faith in her research. As for leading folks astray, I don't think that she's done it deliberately. I think that she has kind of made the evidence say things that support her thesis out of some bias that we'll get into at some point. But as far as being like, I'm going to make people think the King James Bible is God's word, and they're going to think that I believe it too. Like Peter J. Peters would say, or people like Phil Stringer would probably say. I wouldn't say that that's happening. As for leading folks astray, I think sorry, this is probably poorly written. As for leading folks astray, I think but she has unwittingly. So I think she has, but she has unwittingly for the most part. So as far as I am aware so far, the Lucifer connection that she creates, that seems to be unwittingly misleading people. And then kind of justifying it. The other place that I'm talking about that I haven't talked about yet, it looks more like it's more on purpose. Some part, though, her ignorance and rejection of seemingly all correction. So basically, sorry. Some part of this is either her ignorance sometimes or her rejection of what seems to be all correction. Anybody that comes and says, Gail, you're wrong on this or that, she's been swatting at wasps like a brother said recently to me. She's been swatting at wasps her entire career as a King James Bible believer. So me going, Gail, I think this is screwed up here or there, especially now that she's sick and she can't respond the way that she should be able to, like she used to be able to. It is a bad situation. Be praying for her, please. Rejection of what seems to be all correction can lead to a lot of errors that are left. So I think that the backlash that she got did her more harm than good, where she basically closed the gates to all criticism. And that's a sad place to be, especially when she has to speak in like official terms all of the time. And it makes people feel sheepish and basically just kind of take what she says as truth. It's led to a toxic situation. A toxic situation bred another toxic situation, in my opinion. I want to believe this is where it begins and ends. That she had some basic ignorance and basically she shut down to all correction. I want to believe that that's where it stops and where it starts, and that's it. But what I'm looking at is difficult to attribute to anything but purposeful, I'm going to use the term, subterfuge. And I'm sorry, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. Brownies are still in the oven. I'm not ready to do a full thing yet. I don't know. Maybe this time of her sickness is the one that will, I don't know. Maybe it's the one that will end her. I don't know. That would be horrible. Maybe it will. And if it does, it's sad that me, as a supporter of her for well over a decade, is getting disillusioned at exactly the same time. I keep thinking to myself that I'm missing something. I think for the big one that I keep teasing out, I think I found the part that I was missing. What explains the entire chapter that I've been examining that is just sad. I keep thinking to myself that I'm missing something. There must be some reason why she did what she did. But the months of utter silence in response to only 2 of my criticisms, 2, if I remember correctly, just 2 criticisms of this chapter that I'm speaking about, sent it out to Gail and Bryn. They share an email. And months of not hearing anything. And I delivered them in the best way that I could. After multiple follow-ups, this silence is obviously concerning, to say the least. I'm hoping for the best, but my imagination runs wild if I let it. I hope this clears things up. Please let me know if it doesn't. God bless. And as far as I'm aware, he liked the comment, because there is a like on the comment that occurred shortly after I posted it, so that would be his immediate reaction, I'm sure. All right, let's start wrapping this up. My mother-in-law says that she saw the old videos too at Delmer, and I saw those old videos too. That's so nice. And sorry, unless I go through the ones that I did make, none of them are ever going to be public again. If I do, though, I will post them on here. Spray Arm knows he's crazy. We know, Spray Arm. That goes unsaid. We are all a little mad here. Oh, I love that. Yes. Alice in Wonderland reference. Yes. But then that's Liddell. And is that Liddell? Was that the what was that guy's last name? It wasn't Liddell. No, that was a connection though. Hazardous materials. The guy. And was he a pedophile? I wouldn't have any doubt. I honestly wouldn't have any doubt. But anyways, that's a subject for another time. Westcott and Hort. What about them? Unclear. Oh, we do have a Westcott and Hort page. That's coming up. I keep adding to it. It's public, so you guys can see how I'm changing it. But we're adding a lot now to the Communion of the Saints section, because I'm not so sure that Communion of the Saints thing is really all that it's puffed up to be. I've even found some evidence that there wasn't a single spirit or ghost of any departed person involved in the dark cathedral at all. Stringer makes it sound like there was. I'm holding out on some evidence from him that I'm waiting for him to send me. I'll keep after him about it. It's possibly a quote from Westcott's daughter. I think I've seen it somewhere, maybe in Sightler. I don't remember. But we're drilling in deeper into the communions of the saints thing. I even got to talk to the pastor's wife of a local Episcopal church, and I asked her about the communion of the saints, and I told her about Westcott's thing, and she was just like, "Oh, communion of the saints is nothing like that. That sounds weird and mystical and something that we wouldn't want to be involved with." So just saying, you practice the communion of the saints, you are a necromancer, is not something that I think can be said anymore. We'll figure it out, though. We'll figure it out, and you're going to know about it. That's the worst thing about this channel. When we find something out, you're going to hear about it. All right. I'm fascinated that modern versions, this is Blue Sky again. Hi, Blue Sky. I'm fascinated that modern versions got rid of the KJV's warning about science. Can you recommend any good Christian books / resources against trust / worship of science? I think the Collins and Collins book was written pretty good. I kind of lost interest in it about halfway through. It's called The Ascendancy of the Scientific Dictatorship. That was pretty good. I haven't bought it yet, but I really want to, so don't buy my copy of In the Minds of Men by the guy that does the creation moments. That's Darwin and the New World Order. Oh, any book against scientism would be great. There's a lot of that creeping into Christianity, like with Daniel Jones. I've been sad to see a lot of the day age stuff and progressive creationism kind of things seeping in with him. Kind of sad. The problem thing about the warning against science, because yes, science, but I mean, it is kind of relevant to now. It is definitely relevant to now. But the thing is that word science and also the word study, as it was used then, I would look up those words in, say, the lexicon of early modern English. I would look it up in the OED, Oxford English Dictionary. I would look to see how it was used throughout history. Go to Google Books and search specifically within the 1600s around the time frame of the King James Bible's authorship, and look for the word science and see how it was used. I wouldn't necessarily say that they were talking about evolution per se. They weren't necessarily seeing what we're dealing with now, but the thing is that evolution, that theory, is a lot older than you and I think. Check out Ancient Church Fathers by Ken Johnson. It was a thing back in the early church too, believe it or not. That is an amazing book right there. Get it on audiobook if you're into that kind of stuff. So the science fallacy, so-called, I would say, is a lot more related to like Gnosticism and stuff. So anyhow, let me unshare this real quick. especially with the promotion of scientific solutions solutions the last few years. Yeah, scientific solutions. Yep. Carl is outside. You love Carl too. Oh boy. What are you doing? What are you doing, Jennifer? We've got to get to know each other. Message me, please. Do something. She knows Carl. Oh, that one actually was Jin, the orange one. Carl is the brown one that drives me nuts. He was asleep in my laundry basket over here a few bits ago. Love the Wonka reference. Yep. Thank you. Interrupting cats are great. So cute. Well, that's nice. I mean, I like that they're free to do that, but I also don't like that I'm allergic to them. So like when the hair gets on my face, it's just like, I mean, I don't want to touch my face because if I have cat anything on my hands, it's just like I try to tell my kids, I'm just like, please don't put the cat on my lap. Please just don't brush the cat in here. Don't touch the brush that you're brushing the cat with. Don't touch the bristles. Don't get it on your fingers if you plan on touching my face at all. It's just like instant. Oh, anyways. And I read New Age Bible versions, blind guides, hazardous materials, in awe of thy word. I read all of them with a cat sitting on my lap. Half the time she'd try to sit on the book or sit next to me on a pillow or what have you. She was also, and I just scratched the side of my face, so I'm probably going to be itching there. She's been dead for quite a while, but you know, as long as I could keep the dandruff away from my face, I was cool. Or off of my wrists, I was good. Any of that soft skin, it's just like, okay, I would think it would be healthy as a King James Bible believer to be highly skeptical and double check her quotes, ellipsis, and footnotes. Just saying. I would agree. And I would also want to say that I don't want to be unhealthy in my being like, Gail's awful, you know, and being like, not necessarily going over the top like that, but also not distracting the entire thing of the channel to be like, okay, now I'm just going to be responding to Gail Riplinger the rest of my life and in a fight with her daughter Bryn until, you know, we're old and gray and we both just are pushing up daisies or whatever. That's not what I want to do either. But like I said, I think that there is an active conspiracy behind our side of the debate and the other side of the debate. There's a lot more money on the other side of the debate, I gotta say. But then there's us. And let's not be controlled opposition. That's what I don't want. I don't want us to be in a spot where they're comfortable with us. Oh yeah, those nutty King James only. So yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. Oh, we already know that. Oh yeah, they think that, you know, they think that Lucifer in Isaiah 14 is actually only talking about Satan. Which I don't think it is, but let me know your thoughts. Oh yeah, those King James only. So yeah, they're crazy, stupid nonsense. So their books and their research are all just Brian Ross, I think like Brian Ross and you know, there's lots of other people out there actually too, not just Brian Ross, that are starting to kind of turn the tide on this. But I don't want us to be controlled opposition, and I think that we've been controlled opposition for a long time. Kind of like Fox News, you know, controlled opposition. That's why they had to get rid of Tucker Carlson, I think, because he wasn't willing to be controlled opposition anymore. Of course, I don't know how controlled he ever was. He's pretty cool. And not just her, absolutely, but all authors, speakers, etc. I would agree. I would agree. And this is the thing. When Gail first started writing her book, late 1900s, late 20th century. It was all, you have to go and do, you have to go do interlibrary loan. You have to get a degree. You have to have access to massive libraries across the country. You have to this, you have to that in order to confirm, in order to deny, in order to research, in order to find out things, in order to discover information. You don't have to do that anymore. This is a digital age. Most of the books that Gale actually references in New Age Bible versions are available in either PDF or as scans from Google Books or what have you. There is so much that is available to us at our fingertips. We just need to know how to find it. And that's something that I'm honing my skills on. And I don't have to say that I did a 7-year collation of all the modern Bible versions and stuff like this to be able to say that I found something wrong with what Gail Riplinger did with her own. And I've got a nature's calling me. So we should probably leave it there for tonight. I might tease you out one more thing before we go. Very true, Alex. This person said, not quite sure who Alex is. And Titus, haven't seen you around for a while. All these authors we discuss have great points. Yes, they do. That they made and are making. Sometimes they got them from solid teachers. Yes, sometimes they did. Sometimes they did. And I don't want to blacklist Gale either. They responded. Bryn responded to what I asked. And I asked another question, and that prompted her to respond to me. The problem, the reason why they weren't responding as she said, is they didn't want to humiliate me. Something like this. I gotta end here. Have a good night, guys. We'll talk about more of this later. Read your Bible like the devil's after it, because he is, and there truly is a Bible version conspiracy. God bless.